Before we get started, just a reminder that you can find all of my available rental properties on my website at marcguzman.com. If you own investment property, click on the Owner Services section to see our complete list of services. This episode is brought to you by Beniked Commercial Real Estate. There's more to building wealth in real estate than simply buying and holding. You need to have an entry and exit strategy. You need to know when to invest, have a plan to maximize return during the holding period, and have an exit strategy to sell and exchange the property into a bigger investment. This takes a set of highly qualified professionals to guide you from buying your first investment property to eventually upgrading to the 100-unit complex, providing wealth for you and your family. Brian Beniked and David Peel have over 35 years of combined experience specializing in helping families build wealth through real estate. They assist you in putting your investment on autopilot and will guide you along each exchange. Visit them at www.bcre.co. Again, that's www.bcre.co to give your future a jumpstart. The new year is already seeing a ton of news and action in the real estate market, especially here in the Bay Area. Today on Highest and Best, we break down some of those trends and stories with the Maddox Team, Jason, Jamie, and Katrena, as well as we discuss the benefits of staging a home and the future of real estate marketing. Okay, so Maddox Team, thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks
for
having us.
Thank you.
Second time, right?
Yes,
Yep.
this time last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was January.
Do we have the episode number? Let's see if we can.
Pull it up.
Yeah, let's find out what episode number that is, because now I think we're going to be 196, 197.
This will be 197.
197, yeah. So we're rock and rolling.
Nice.
A lot of podcast shows.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of familiar faces I've seen coming in here and posting and stuff.
Yeah. So we have to talk about real estate. Being that we're all in the real estate profession, this is Highest and Best. And there's a lot of talk right now in real estate, the news, and the slowdown. Interest rates. You see a lot of, just the government shutdown, the economy, and a lot of news going on right now. So what is catching your eye right now in real estate?
Katrena?
Well, I think we really started to see that slump last summer. And I think a lot of agents were, at least I didn't know where it was coming from. Come June, we had a really nice trajectory of appraised values going higher and higher. And then all of a sudden, I was putting homes on the market and not getting the activity that I thought I would receive.
So you started to notice in June.
In June, I can tell you the second week of June, I started really feeling it and seeing it. Mm-hmm. And I think since then, a lot of people were scared. So I think that there were a lot of buyers who were like, okay, well, let's see where this lands. Let's see where the bottom of the market is. And I feel comfortable. I feel confident now that I don't think that we're falling, from the bottom here. I think that interest rates, while they're flexible and they're, varied right now, I think that we've seen a stabilization. Well, we're not seeing that same high trajectory that we were seeing, let's say, in the last 2 years, but we're seeing a stabilization of the market. We're maybe not having the 30 offers on a home. Maybe we're having 3, but I feel secure enough in the market that there's still buyers, there's still sellers, and as long as we have the two who are meeting at the price point for a house, I feel good about the market and where it's going.
So the question was again.
What's catching your eye right now in real estate?
What's catching our eye? What is catching our eye? This is where wine would have been really good. Nice.
We have wine. We can always bust it out.
No, we didn't bring it this time because we're on this keto thing, and it's 3 weeks in.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
3 weeks in, and we're ready for a bottle of wine.
We're ready for a bottle of wine. Yeah.
Usually after 4 to 6 weeks, it gets a lot better, and then it becomes easy.
It is getting better. Yeah, definitely getting better. First 3 days, bad. But yeah.
And all 3 of you are doing keto?
No.
The skinny one isn't.
The skinny one isn't. Yeah.
No, I just don't have the willpower to give up carbs and sugar. I can't do it.
Yeah.
No, not yet, at least.
So I'm catching my eye in real estate. Like what do you mean exactly by that? Like what?
It could be trends. I mean, it could be market trends, it could be technology, it could be, I mean, really whatever.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot more technology. We're seeing a lot of interactive bots, things like that, that I think are kind of filtering into the market that we're actually exploring now too. Because I'm, when I go on an app, because we're always on apps, right? I'm on my phone all day long. I love seeing like, what is your home worth? Like these home bots and things like that, and it just basically they talk to you and you can interact with it. It kind of sets up a conversation for you, this artificial intelligence, and you don't have to really deal with anybody. And I think people these days don't really want to talk to anybody, and that's the weird thing. Like,
that's what we've been talking about. You get people that literally come to you. They go on sites like Zillow, or they find your webpage and they fill out the form, and it gets to you, and eventually you have to make the call, and they just act like you're just completely violating them by having their number and calling them or being in contact with them. And it's like, we're trying to help you. We're not trying to, be a bother in any type of way. And we don't like pushy people as it is. So we're very minimal when it comes to like, how probably to a fault sometimes on how much we like to push people and really just continue to call them and pester them because they can be so standoffish. So we're finding that technology really comes into play a lot better there with these bots and such, because it's kind of like, you know what, you don't have to talk to a person. Here's a system that will do it all for you. And we have some systems that we're using now where they can just go in there and type questions, and the bot will kind of respond to them and ask them other questions and get us enough information to where we feel comfortable coming in now.
Right.
Rather than kind of like the cold leads before, because people can be not too receptive.
Well, and I've had clients also who would tell me, can we not have phone calls? Can we do everything over text? I'm like, great, but when you have a very lengthy discussion, or what you would normally want to have a lengthy discussion about contingency removals, it's very hard to make sure that their deposit could be at risk during a certain situation, all on text. And trying, I've got, what is it?
And compliance-wise, too.
Right.
You have to take screenshots and then save these screenshots.
Well,
Absolutely.
leading to the next kind of thing, what we're implementing this year, I want to make sure we're a communication powerhouse. So we're using like systems like Slack to communicate internally and also with clients. So we'll create a channel for each transaction, and then we'll be able to talk to the client. We'll have the transaction coordinator talk to the client. I mean, everything is logged, so we don't have to screenshot and save, because that's very true. And it's communication is key, right? But people love texting. People love these this type of communication. So, and I think that this robocalls, and I get them so much it drives me insane. But I think these calls are what's affecting people. They don't want to hear from people like us. Even though we have, unless they're a past client or something, obviously. But anybody new coming in, it's like they steer clear. So that's why we're kind of feeling like, you know what, let's move into the new year with more of a communication where we can sort of, have a hub where we all just communicate together. We can do office meetings together on this, with our chats. We can ask the legal department questions, things like that, and everything is logged. And then we have these bots in place that are really, I think, kind of taken over and really helping. And like Jamie said, it gets to a point where once they've reached out and they've gone through this whole thing, at the end of the bot conversation, it's, hey, would you like somebody to call you and talk to you, like one of our agents to call you, or one of
our agents will be in touch with you.
Be in touch with you
to continue this.
Right. And so, if we don't reply to the client, then the bot will say, hey, has anybody reached out yet? So and it's cool because it interacts with us too. It's like, have you reached out to the client? Have you, so it kind of keeps us on schedule too, which is really nice. But that's my eye. It's technology and artificial intelligence.
I was at a real estate conference, and I think there's a company, I want to say, called Agent Riley, something like that, something to that effect.
Yeah.
And they do AI bots that message leads directly off your website, and then they do text messaging with the actual potential lead. But it's very interesting what they do, because they're constantly trying to adjust it so that they can get the highest conversion rate. And one of the things they did was they started to misspell words on purpose, following it up with a corrected word to make it appear as if the bot was correcting itself.
Wow, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So it added a personal touch because
Yeah.
we all tend to misspell word and then we follow up with another text correcting it.
I always do that.
Yeah.
I'm obsessive
So
about
it
that.
feels
If I spell something wrong, I do the star with
Yep.
the correct word, because it's like it drives me crazy that I misspelled it, and I don't want the client to think I'm a moron.
So that's what this bot does, and it will purposely misspell certain words and follow up with a correction.
That's
word.
really cool.
to feel
Yes.
more humanistic. That's funny.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
We should start doing it just because.
I know.
I'm too much of a proofreader because I don't want to sound dumb to a client. I
Right.
proofread everything.
Yeah, I think teaching agents how to properly work leads is crucial. And in
yeah.
this day and age, it's changing so much with these AI bots and how people prefer to communicate.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone's submitting, let's say, a web form and they put in their email and they prefer to be contacted by email, they don't want to call, right? They
Right.
don't want to text. They're asking for email. And it's very interesting because you have some aggressive marketers that will contact everyone at every way possible, right? Their phone, email, text. But then that really annoys and pisses off some people because no, they put email, just follow up with them. But then how do you follow up with a lead that doesn't get back to you?
Well, so we have a system. We have a concierge team that does a lot of this stuff for us. It's not Zillow. It's our own, and they will literally. So we use Follow Up Boss. I think we talked about this before. We religiously use that, and that is our organizational system. I also use Realty Juggler for my personal back office paperwork and numbers stuff. But Follow Up Boss is the stuff we use together.
I was a huge fan of that when I used it.
Yeah, I love it. It's kind of old school a bit, but I love it. It keeps me organized. It puts the graphs in front of me, and I think that stuff's important. And I'm kind of a tech geek like that. I like to see graphs and know where the leads are coming from, so we can kind of focus our budget on those types of things. But kind of going back to Follow Up Boss, so a lead will pop in, and I totally lost my train of thought. What was I
We're
talking?
talking about following up. What is it? People that
People that
Yeah.
want to
put
that-
an email.
How do you follow up
but-
with leads
the
that
emails,
don't
right?
contact you back?
That don't contact you back. So Follow Up Boss, we have a strict system. So once the lead goes in there, whether it be email, text, or both, they will immediately get a call from the team. What can we do? How can we help? If it's not that, then it's a text or an email, and the email is sent out every day until maybe there's a response, and up until it's like a 5-day thing, and then it goes into a weekly thing, and then the lead is basically nurtured up to 6 months if they don't have phone number or something like that. But at some point, we will be in touch with them, and the concierge team will qualify them or not, and basically say, this lead is not looking right now, where they just put their information in to get this or that or yada yada yada,
Yeah.
and then at that point, we put them into our nurture pile, and we just will send them emails.
And something we also do to try to get a response from leads like that just kind of go cold on you and don't want to follow up is, we'll send maybe an email or whatever they prefer and say, we're not trying to bug you in some sense of the words. We're not trying to bug you, but we just want to keep our notes updated. So if you're interested, we'll continue to follow up. If you're not, just let us know and we'll move on.
Yeah.
And I think people really respond. I've had people that will not respond. You send a message like that and they'll say, you know what, we're actually not interested right now, or our situation's changed a bit. I had somebody that very recently that said, you know what, we were completely looking a few months ago. We just lost everything in the Paradise Fire and we're just at a standstill right now, and we don't even want to be contacted right now. And I said, I understand. I completely get it. So you just kind of have to let them know we're not trying to pester you. This is more for you, not necessarily just for us. We're trying to help you. We're going to continue to reach out because that's what we do. But if you want us to stop, we'll stop. We're not trying to bug you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, those leads come in because they're looking for a home, right? They're not just coming out of thin air. So you're looking for a home, you're looking in our area, we're here to assist you. Let us know how we can do that. And that's one of the things when we were going back to in which way. Is it by text? Is it by phone? And we're really taking, when I say lead, but we're really following their lead in that sense. Some people only want a phone call. Every little question, they want a phone call. And so it's understanding, how can I be of service to you in the way that you want? And so we really try to, we really try to respect that. If you don't want emails, if you don't want text, I'll call you for every single thing if that's what you like, if you prefer that form of communication. So it's really kind of honing in on what that individual prefers and us following that.
And then we have a book of business that we go to lunch with and we go to coffee with. And, once you meet the lead, once kind of all that goes through and you meet the lead, and I have, a lead a few weeks ago who came through the system. I think it was Realtor.com. And then the concierge team followed up with her, set the appointment for Saturday. I met her on Saturday. We, in the pouring rain, showed the house. We're like the best of friends now. I mean, now we can go have lunch and coffee and, talk about their future. And so it's you get some people like that who really want human interaction, and then some people who are just, like she said,
it just varies. It just varies on the person, and I think you have to just really like thicken your skin because of that. Everybody's going to be different. Just when you think, hey, I had coffee with this person and we're staying in communication, they'll shoot you a text saying, oh, I just bought a house with somebody else.
Right.
And it's like, you really can't get your feelings hurt. You have to understand that people don't necessarily always understand loyalty to their agents. Even some of your friends and family are like, oh, well, so-and-so, I was having a conversation with them and we kind of hit it off. And I'm like, well, I'm your cousin though. Like, you should, but people really don't understand. And I don't think they understand kind of how hard we take it as agents sometimes when we have friends and family that will go with someone else. And it's like, but we were talking about this, like what happened? Sometimes leads respond a little bit better to like the hard to get, like, you know what, call me when you need me. And they're like, oh, okay. Right. I've had people that will come months later and say, I'm okay, now I'm ready. And it's because I backed off and let them come to me that it's actually worked out better. It's hard to read everybody though. Yeah. You're not going to get it right every time.
People don't want to be pestered. We don't. And that's why we don't do that.
Yeah,
exactly. The last thing we want is, okay, if this guy calls me one more time, like get the hint.
Right.
We're not calling you, so don't call us. And so we're very respectful of that. We are not one of those like, we're going to make you call us if it's the last thing we do. We just try to be there for that client.
So with how consumers are interacting with agents and how they're changing using technology in ways to buy real estate, we saw 2008, the financial crash, how that really affected a lot of people in the real estate industry and how you really had to adapt and change your business. Now we're seeing, from 11 years ago to now, a big change in real estate technology. Now economists are talking about a 2020 recession that could possibly affect the real estate market because the real estate market's now decoupled from the general economy, which is something that most economists have never seen before. What's your prediction coming up for the next few years of real estate, and how is that going to change the agents? What's the future agent? How will they have to adapt, and what do they have to do, like guaranteed, in order to succeed in their business?
Yeah. So, obviously agents have to up their game. They have to up their game and they have to present product that looks great. They have to, obviously use technology. I don't think, there's always going to be a buyer and there's always going to be a seller, always. Even when the market, crashed, sellers needed to sell their homes, buyers wanted to buy houses at good prices. It's just a different type of market. It's not just, you have a heartbeat, you get a license and you go sell a house. It's just not like that. And I think it kind of separates the men from the boys at that point. It's like, these agents who have their license right now that take everything for granted, close one deal and they think they're a rock star. It's like you have to humble yourself and you have to go back to the roots and try to, change with the market and figure out what works, what doesn't. But your principles all have to stay the same. Your how you follow up with people, how you treat people, how you do the right thing no matter what. And you can't let that affect you.
I think you just have to always be changing. Kind of going back to what Katrena was saying, she said June was the high point. I feel like it was kind of May, June, towards the beginning of last summer. And I feel like after that, we hit a kind of a period where everybody was getting scared because the market was quote unquote dropping. It wasn't dropping, that we were just seeing the shift that everybody was expecting. And like she said, instead of getting 30 offers on a property, you were getting maybe 3, if maybe not getting any, sometimes by the offer deadline. And buyers were getting a little bit scared. Buyers are also saying, hey, there's not a lot of competition. Why am I overbidding everything now? I think you just have to adapt. Back in 2006, when we got into this, it was a completely different market. I mean, we were focusing on short sales, and you just have to really engage yourself with whatever is going on at the time. We're doing really well right now, and we've kind of seen a shift since May, but now since May, we were kind of getting more into the design side because we were getting a lot of listings. So we were going in and redoing properties. If the market continues to shift, we may not see sellers willing to present their homes in that respect. They may just be kind of selling to sell now and not, putting the money back into it like that. So you just have to be adapting to everything and willing to.
Now, if the market
change.
shifts and many sellers decide, I don't want to put the money or the time or the investment into really sprucing up the property, if most people do that, then it would be actually beneficial for the 1 or 2 sellers that can do that, because their properties are going to stand out the most.
Absolutely.
So before we started on the recording the podcast, we were just briefly talking about this is something that you're getting into as a specialty. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with listings now.
Well, now it's kind of easy because everybody goes, everybody does what we say, and they get the results that they want. And that's the tough part. I mean, we have a listing right now. Jamie, project managed the whole thing, and she designed it. And we kind of have our signature look, that we go in and do.
Mm-hmm.
And the contractor came in, put $35,000, I think, into the 40.
Probably about 40 by the time we ended. Yeah.
Listed it on the market a little bit higher than the one literally across the street. The one across the street shows terrible. It was listed at $469.
Hope he doesn't listen to this.
I know. But I mean,
address not disclosed.
Yeah. Address not disclosed.
disclosed.
But it showed terrible, and we walked over there to look at it, and we're just like, the sellers, unfortunately, they should have put some money into it. But an agent walked in and maybe he didn't give them the proper advice, or maybe they didn't have the money. I don't know. But it should have shown a little bit better,
Well, and things happen. You're not always going to get the seller that has $40,000 lying around to make the improvements. Yeah. And I think that's kind of one strength that we have, is that we come in and say, not do this, do that. What do you have? And we'll tell you where to put it, what we can do to the property to get the most bang for your buck.
Right.
And to really maximize the...
Absolutely. But I mean,
return.
With that, professional photography, drone work, we do all that stuff. It's a standard. It's not, it doesn't matter what the property is priced at. It's a standard. That's what we, what we expect. And I'm sure, clients expect more now because there's, a lot of agents out there. Mm-hmm. But we stick to that. This is what we do for every property. We do that. We put it on the market. We've got 3 offers. The guy across the street is price reducing. So it's like, okay, that proves that, $40,000, you're going to get, another $50,000 to $60,000, and your competition across the street's price reducing. They can't even get an offer.
And that's what we do, is we make the recommendation based on proof, right? Based on history. So recently I had a home and I said, this is a great home, but they hadn't done any updates in probably 30 years, literally. And I said, this is how much for a coat of paint, new flooring. And if you allow us this budget, that ROI, that rate of return, will be X, Y, and Z when we sell. Now, it's your choice. You don't have to do this, but this is the amount that we are expected to get. But if you do this, you could perhaps double your money. The market is shifting, and so that's kind of what we're doing. Is I think we used to have a staging company, and so we do have an eye for design, and we can go in and say, it would be great if you were to do this, and this is the budget, and this is the return on that budget, and based on our experience, this is what we've proved to occur. So they're like, okay, we've got the proof, we do have this budget, let's move forward with that and see what happens. There are never promises in this market.
Now, how do you
based on history?
How do you work with a seller that doesn't have the money to do, maybe a $40,000 rehab?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a coat of paint, and new flooring.
Right.
It's
know.
and that kind of goes back to, tell us what you do have, and we'll tell you where you can best put that money to use. And kitchen sell, bathroom sell, things like that. Like she said, coat of paint sometimes can change the whole area.
Whole thing.
And I mean, it's because we've done this for so long now that we can, moving forward, go to new clients and say, let us show you examples. I mean, I literally have a folder or on my iPad, a file of before and afters on this is people that didn't want to stage. This is the before. This is the blue paint they had on their walls. This is just a coat of paint. Look at the space. Look at the staging, how it completely changed it. This is you're walking into somebody else's home. This is you walking into your new home, feeling like you're not living in somebody else's space. I mean, and like Jason said, we have a standard. We do professional photography. We don't go in there with our cell phone and shoot photos. We do drone work now is something that, it's kind of becoming the standard for everybody. It used to be just the successful agents that did that. Now everybody's realizing we really need to up our game in order to stay relevant.
Well, and I think, a lot of people are afraid to spend money. And as a real estate agent, I mean, you have to spend money to make money, and you have to, it's not just to go in and, sell a house and make a commission. And yeah, that does happen sometimes in a hot market, but it's not going to happen when the market's competitive and when it's slowing down. You've got to spend the money to make the property look amazing and impress your clients. If you're impressing your clients, you're impressing other people.
And I think that shows too, like you said, if you don't have a seller that maybe doesn't have, or if you have a seller that maybe doesn't have the money to do those improvements, I'll tell you, professional photos versus camera photos on the crappiest property will make the world of a difference.
Right.
Doing a drone video, I mean,
That's something that we offer.
And that's something that we do, and that's just kind of our standard, because just already, we've had probate sales, crappy properties that have been, trashed before, and we do professional photos, and it at least gets people there, and it, presents really well. And we've all seen it as agents. You'll look at the MLS and you'll see photos from agents, and you're just like, how did you think that passed? How did you're in the mirror.
There's a few websites dedicated to just
my gosh,
horrible
they're my
MLS
favorite.
photos.
Those are my favorite pages to follow on Instagram, like the Broke Agent and all these like funny
Broke Agent is awesome. I love that
funny.
page.
I didn't see
So,
that.
Oh, I've gotta
because
find
it's
that.
so relatable. But you see these photos and you're just like, oh my goodness, like what are your standards? How did you think that you're in the mirror in 5 of these photos and not even like nice in the mirror? You're just kind of,
Just kind of slumped
some
in there.
of I've
slumped
seen
over.
photos where agents are just kind of like, I swear they're moving their phone as they're taking the photo because it's so blurred, or they upload them sideways, or they upload them tiny. They must be taking them with like a flip phone. I don't.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We're presenting a product at the end of the day.
And the
right?
property is a reflection of us as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to present a bad product, even if the house isn't done up, to the nines, and they didn't go and do a full remodel. We're still going to present it as best we can, because that's a representation of us. I mean, we're not turning down listings because a seller can't afford to do upgrades by
Right.
any means.
I mean, we'll recommend, let's declutter, let's clean, let's do the best we can, let's get, anything's better than. I mean, I'm not going to walk in and take a professional photo of someone's bed that's not made. It's like, clean the property. But if you can do that, if you can't do that, then I mean, maybe we're not a match. Something, and it's not that we necessarily turn down business, but like she was saying, it's a representation of us as well. So we have to set this standard for ourselves, and to let other people know, we're not going to take a picture of ourselves in the mirror. We're going to take professional photos. So if you can at least clean the property up to where it looks presentable, we'd be more than happy to move forward.
Yeah, you would think that's a no-brainer for a lot of people.
You would think.
You would think.
Yeah.
And it's really funny what passes out.
I mean, I don't know how agents walk in and start taking photos of toilets. And I mean, what is that? That's not. How are you presenting the property? That's a toilet.
And the thing
I've seen it.
that I cannot stand is seeing the photos vertical, up and down.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just the big gaps on the
Yeah.
left, right side because it's not formatted properly.
Yeah,
that I
or
cannot stand.
they're blurry because you can tell they're kind of blown up on. Yeah,
Yeah, they're pixelated.
We always think that, clients are coming us and entrusting us with the biggest investment of their lives. In many cases, it's their home. So it's like their baby, and they're saying, can you sell this for, not that you'd sell a baby, but, can you help us with this? Can you assist us? And so we put our best foot forward 100% all of the time to have that drone video, to have those professional photos, to give really, the advice based on our experience. and say, you're entrusting us with this. The least we can do is present our best to have that rate of return, for you. Yeah.
So staging is staging
It's a must.
must.
It's a
must.
must. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the client obviously goes back down to budget or back to budget, but it's another, I would say, standard for us. We really, really recommend staging. I think I would pay for staging before I took a photo of a blank house, an empty house.
And
It's
I mean, that also goes back to, if a seller maybe didn't have the money to make the upgrades, staging can transform a space immensely. I mean, it can do so much. And I think that when you're presenting, you want to present a home, not a house. So you can go in there and clear everything out at the end of the day and you're selling a house. But you put staging and you put some personal touch and then you're selling a home.
Yeah.
And that's what people are looking for. Their home. They're not, unless you've got an investor that just cares about the space. But most of the time people are looking for their next home and they want to see themselves living there. Also, people will come in and say, what do we do with this space? A lot of buyers don't have vision. So they're saying, what do we do with this space? What would go here? I'm not sure. You have it staged. Staging isn't always practical, but sometimes it makes the world of a difference to them, and they're like, "Oh, this is great." We would have never thought about this.
It could sell that extra open space
Absolutely.
that most people wouldn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's really great. So we 100% are always on board with staging. Like Jason said, I think we would probably pay for staging long before we would just put a product out there if it has our name behind it.
And what's the average cost of staging these days?
Well,
it depends on the size of the home.
It really depends.
It depends on we have a couple of different stagers that we use, and if you have a home in Lafayette, obviously you're going to pay a lot more, and you're going to want a different type of staging. If you have a condo, you get away with a little bit cheaper furniture, a little more cost effective, but really works still. But we try to kind of stay in the middle, and we have
for a single family home, like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I think you're looking around 3,000,
I would say
500-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But what you get in return of that, you're going to have the multiple offers, most likely, where you're going to get that money back and then some. So while it's hard to swallow at first, like, oh, $3,500 for staging, what we always try to recommend is yes, but. This is an investment for you, and when you have it staged, you'll have X, Y, and Z in return. So just like any other investment.
And the staging is usually for what, 2 or 3 months?
I think it's like 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days.
90 days typically.
What is that? 3 months?
Yeah,
2 or 3
60 to
months?
90.
Yeah.
We had somebody ask that recently, like, what do we do if it goes over 90 days? I don't think we've ever really run into that situation to where it's had to go way over.
I mean, obviously, when you're listing a property, as long as you got it priced right and you've done your homework, us as agents, we need to really inform the client about, pricing and things like that and the strategies and how important that is. You put all the puzzle pieces together and you do it all right with staging and presenting and photo and drone and pricing, you're going to be fine. It'll sell. I mean, you're going to get over asking. You're going to, if they want, 425 and they don't, they want to list it 425, hey, $399. You're going to get all people searching up to $400. They're going to see this product. It's amazing. They're going to see themselves there, and they're going to want to live there, and they're going to find the $25,000. And they're going to, depending on where the market is, of course, but because, we have to follow the market. It is what it is, and we're not smarter than that. So we have to just, constantly adjust to that. But
now, how do you market in a digital world your listings?
Wow, we market in every avenue. We very, very big on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram.
E-blast. I do e-blast to agents all throughout the area, all through, because you never know. Sometimes in San Francisco, and what I've been seeing in Hercules is there's buyers from San Francisco coming over because of the transportation now that Hercules has, at least to the BART station, and there's still very reasonable rates, home rates here, and so you have to see who the clientele is. And so you're marketing based on that. If I'm going to shoot emails out to agents in San Francisco, I'm going to let them know there's transportation into the city from here, and look what you can get. Look at this amazing home for under $800,000 in many cases, where you wouldn't be able to get a condo in San Francisco for that amount in some cases. So I think it's really what the market in each area, but we absolutely get that property out there as much as we can. Like Jason said, Facebook, Instagram, personal friends, e-blasting it to other agents, open houses.
We're using bots, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're using all kinds of.
We don't just put it on the MLS and let it sit and hope
No.
somebody comes to us.
Do you
We're very proactive.
Do you do anything different from Facebook versus Instagram as far as the type of ad, the type of, and do you actually do Facebook ads and Instagram ads, like boosting?
Well,
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we boost all the time. I was boosting so much, I got my bill, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't realize that it added up so quickly. But yeah, we Facebook, and we've incorporated the bots into Facebook and Instagram, so that if they, want to see that property or have a question about that property, they just click on it. It takes them to the messenger chat, and then all of a sudden the bot pops up. Hey, what can we do for you at this point? And that's so it's interaction like that. But yeah, everything is phone related nowadays, right? And people aren't sitting in front of computers as much. So we want to make sure we have the proper access via phone, because that's kind of how we feel like everybody's
The mobile platform.
Is the way to go.
Yeah, I think there was some report that came out about a year ago that said most people use desktops only at work, but they spend like some 40-50% on their mobile phone at work looking at Facebook and everything else.
iPhones have screen time, so you get a lovely little reminder every Sunday morning on, hey, you spent 6 hours on your phone on average last week a day.
I don't pay attention to that because
it's
that
scary.
gets a little depressing.
I'll chalk it up to sometimes I leave my phone and it doesn't go to sleep. So hopefully it's that. But no, I know I spend a lot of time on my phone. But hey, that's why we have to market that way, because that's what people are doing at the end of the day. I think Instagram is really big for us. I mean, yes, Facebook, you get somewhat of a different audience, but people want quick. They want something they can click on, get the information right there. They don't want to have to jump through hoops. If they have to do more than maybe 1, 2, 3 max clicks to find the information they need, they're moving on. They're scrolling past it. They're already over it. So you kind of have to, keep the content that you're putting out there.
It has to be interactive.
It has to be really quality, has to be interactive, something that they want to continue to click through or, engaging in some way.
So it has to be 1 or 2 clicks at the most. It has to be interactive. And I mean, it just has to be very easy access for them.
Very easy access.
Instant gratification, right? That's what everybody's looking for these days. So it's like a Netflix. You want to see a movie? You can see whatever you want. You just click on it. And it's like, gone are the days that I used to, get excited about a movie coming out on DVD, and I would, next Tuesday, and you go to Tower Records and you're waiting for the new album to come out, and it's like you're waiting at midnight to get this album. Now it's just like it's 5 days early, and you can get it on iTunes, and so it's so quick that that's the way people live. They live in this world.
That's why we have no attention span.
We have no attention span anymore. What do you call us? Schizo disconnected?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're just.
She's
our
like, we're
brains
just,
are always
we're
somewhere else. Like,
we're in the office. We're what was I doing? Oh, you're just so many things going on.
We've done it a number of times here. What was I just talking about? Your brain's just moving so fast. You're on something else constantly that you can't keep up.
I know, and and everybody's like that.
What do you use for organization in house?
Follow a Boss. Follow a Boss Slack. We're going to start using that more this year. Realty Juggler that I use.
Those are kind of the systems. I mean, we're big on Dropbox for just kind of keeping everything together. Files, client files, property files, everything. We all have access to the same Dropbox account, and then I'll have our different files from there. But
what our clients don't know is that we all follow each other's transactions, and it's almost like a backup, right? It's like backup.
And that's
iCloud.
why we're the Maddox Real Estate Team. We're not just we don't necessarily have the same transactions, but it's like she said,
like
we're
I might be
following.
I might be the face for my clients, but if God forbid anything happened, Jason's going to be right there to pick it up right where I left off. So the client is always protected throughout the transaction. If there's any questions that I might not be able to answer right away or get to, Jason will know also. We all will know. Jamie will know. And so yeah, like I said, what clients don't know is that there's two behind me and there's two behind him and her, so we all know what each other is doing outside of just this is my primary client, I'm working with them, but there's a whole team
And I
right
think
behind
because
each
of
of
our
us.
digital organization, that's how we're able to make it seamless. Hey, I'm here right now. Can you send the contract from so and so? Yep, here we go. Got it right now.
Yeah.
She's in, follow up boss. She has a client. I'm going to be out of town this weekend. I'm going to assign them over to you so you have all of their notes. And it's seamless. People don't even know that anything's
Right.
different.
For people that want to work with you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Call, email, text.
Whatever
their
The
preference
old
is.
Send it
fashioned
to a
way.
bot, right?
No,
Right,
no. And
no.
that's the thing is we're so accessible.
Yeah.
But we have the bot options for the people that are a little bit nervous and don't know that they want to talk to somebody. Or, a lot of times we find that people don't even know what questions to ask. So they feel like you're the professional. You might be expecting too much from me. I'm not ready for you right now. And they kind of want to get their feet wet. And I think that's where the bots really come into play because they ask the questions, let's start easy. What areas are you interested in?
Right.
How many bedrooms do you think you want? Have you spoken with a lender? Okay, well then maybe we need to start there. And that's where we come in. Hey, we have this lender, this is usually how the process starts. We don't really know what you're looking for until they tell us what you're qualified for. So, I mean, it's definitely easy to access us. It's not like we're all digital and you have to talk to our robot online before you can get to us.
No, not at all.
But it's really personal preference. Call, email, text, like you said. I mean, I'm big on texting too. I can't say that I'm always mad when I get a voicemail. Sometimes it's nice to just say what you want and give me a call when it's convenient for you so you don't feel like you're imposing on them.
But yeah, MaddoxRealEstate.com has all of our information, our phone numbers.
We're actually
our office
revamping
line.
our website. It's getting ready to roll out
Yeah,
in the
we're
next
excited about it.
probably week. So
Yeah.
it's kind of down for construction right now, but it's going to be amazing.
We've been working with a designer. Yesterday we spent a few hours with him, and then last week as well. And but it's gonna be cool. We're gonna be able to do a lot of stuff from the website. It's gonna be almost kind of like maybe the agency, how they have their website out there, and it's gonna be interactive. We're gonna have bots on there for people to kind of chat with and stuff. And
websites are very beneficial to real estate businesses if you spend the money, if you invest in it to actually have it ran properly,
right.
and making sure you're able to capture leads, right?
Well, that's where we're kind of focusing. So we want to kind of ramp down on some of the other technology out there that's kind of drying up a little bit, so to speak. I think Zillow's kind of drying up a little bit. I think what's happening with Zillow is that they're a lead will come in and they're starting to filter these to different agents now, at the same time. So if we're paying a ton of money for Zillow, which we're leads will come in and we're not realizing that 5 other agents are getting calls too. So, and I've had that beef with Zillow many times. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm paying you a bunch of money. Why am I not exclusive? Oh, you are, but no. If I'm paying you a bunch of money, I want to be exclusive. I don't want 5 other agents. I'm not trying to compete with 5 other agents. So what we're trying to do is really turn this into our website, spend the money there for the marketing, to have the leads pop in there, be able to have the bots service them that way, or we can too, however they want to be contacted, and then it's our own. It's our we're getting that, and other agents aren't getting those calls. So we're gonna really focus our budget on that,
and
that's what
it'll
we're
be
doing.
the same website name, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
same MaddoxRealEstate.com. But I think going back to that, with technology, you always have to stay current, but you also have to always stay unique.
Yeah.
So, Zillow was really big for us a couple of years ago. And I think actually when we sat with you last January, we were saying Zillow's been great for us. And people were saying, really? Because Zillow's not always proven to be amazing.
Which was episode 18 of...
18?
It was actually called Real Realtors.
Yes, I was going to say,
Yeah.
we always call ourselves the Real Realtors now, just because I think of that episode. Because we do keep it real. But
We do.
yeah, but you have to stay unique as well. So now there's so many agents on Zillow that have kind of figured it out, and like you said, now it's not just coming to us, it's coming to 5 different people, and I think that's what kind of turns clients off too, because they're getting so many calls, and then it feels almost pestering.
They don't know who they're talking to.
They don't know who they're talking to, so you have to stay unique as well, and that's going back to you got to spend money to make money,
And change with the market, adapt.
It just all goes hand in hand, and you have to really invest in yourself in order to continue to do well and stay ahead of the game.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and link up the website to the podcast, the video description. And so thank you to the three of you for coming back onto the show.
Oh yeah,
Thanks for
definitely.
And
having
it's
us.
always great having insight. And you guys are just down the street from my new office here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not far, right by the Pear Street.
Right
by
next door to Pear
Bistro.
Street, actually. Yeah.
Happy
Pear
hour.
Street
Anybody
Bistro.
wants to go?
Exactly.
Invited.
Yeah, really.
So good luck with real estate and the new website, and excited to see that when it launches.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lubman. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at marcguzman.com. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.